Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own struggles having borderline personality disorder. I talk about my struggles having post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, panic attacks, depression. I talk about narcissism, bipolar, schizophrenia. I talk about all the different types of therapies I've been in, DBT, CBT, psychodynamic, psychoanalytical, and also I talk about my unethical psychologist that sexually abused me. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist, so I can't diagnose you or give you a professional opinion. And all I ask of you in return is your kindness in the comments below. Please be kind to me, be kind to each other. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do need to show each other respect and kindness. If you are new to my channel, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button there on the right, that box on the right lower corner that says subscribe, because it's 100% free, and that way you will be notified right away whenever I put up a new video. If you like what you see, hit that like button there so I know which videos, to concentrate on and which ones flopped. And I always appreciate people sharing. If you comment, I'm not pressuring anyone to comment, but I will respond to all comments. Now today I thought we would talk about phobias, because I think mostly everyone has one type of phobia or another. Okay, look at yourself and think, what are you afraid of? They have names for all these phobias. Are you afraid of heights? I didn't go look up and research the names about each phobia. I'm going to talk about my phobia though, which is claustrophobia. Are you afraid of spiders and snakes? Are you afraid of the dark? So phobias are unnatural fears, you could say irrational fears. You might have an irrational fear of spiders or snakes or heights. Also, I have a fear of heights too, so I don't know what you call that phobia. So I think all phobias stem from our childhood. And I will give you a perfect example of how I developed claustrophobia from childhood trauma when I was a very little girl. When I was a very little girl, my mother was very close to her sister Emma. Her sister Emma had a daughter named Susan, about I'd say 8 years older than me, give or take, maybe 8 to 10, maybe 8 or 9 years older than me. And she would visit Emma a lot, and of course bring me. I was an only child, and my first cousin Susan, my mother's sister's Emma's daughter Susan, was an only child too. Well, during this one visit, we'd always play down in the basement. It was a finished basement. And also the washer and dryer were down in the basement too. A lot of homes have their washer and dryer down in the basement. I grew up with my family had the washer and dryer in the basement. Especially back in my day. Maybe now not so much. They have a room just designated for it, or maybe it's in a closet, one of those closets that open up like that, hidden away. But back in my day, they had it in the basement. So, and we always played in the basement and let the adults would stay upstairs, so the kids would be out of the way. At that time, my cousin Susan had her friends over, a bunch of girls, and I guess they were bored. And, well, guess what? The baby cousin, which was me, was there. And it's like, oh, we have to be stuck with her. Now, I don't know how old I was, or how old, well, my cousin was probably 8 or 9 years older than me, but I was pretty young, okay? And they threatened to lock me in the dryer. I said the washer and dryer was down there. They opened the dryer, and they're trying to force me in the dryer. Now, you have a washer, dryer. You have a dryer at home, right? How tight or small is a dryer, okay? Think about it. We're not talking about a laundromat size dryer. We're talking about your own dryer at home, your own personal dryer. It's pretty small, right? It's not that big. Can you imagine? I don't know how old I was, I don't have any memories from my first maybe 5 or 6 years of life. I have totally blocked out all memories. So I'm guessing I really don't have, my memories probably only go, the earliest memory I probably have might be 6 or 7 at best. So I think I had it been like over that age, maybe 6, 7, 8. And she must have been a teenager, and her friends were teens. And they were trying to force me into that little dryer, and I'm like, say, I'm guessing I was 7 or 8. That dryer is pretty damn small. And it was because of this trauma that I developed claustrophobia. Looking back now as an adult, seeing that I must have been scared shit of tight spaces because of this. I think having phobias stem from some sort of trauma in your past, especially in your childhood. Everything comes from our childhood, right? And most of us have a phobia. Maybe not everyone, but a good majority of people have phobias, one phobia or another. So the claustrophobia started from my cousin physically abusing me. I don't know if she actually, forced me in, got me in there because I was kind of big, and shut the door. But her and her friends ganged up on me and tried to push me into that dryer and threatened to shut the door and lock me in that dryer. And I'll never forget it. And yes, I did talk about this in my therapy. And that's what led to my claustrophobia. As a result, I'm very scared of very confined places, closed places. And one place I'm scared of that's closed and confined is elevators. How many people are scared of elevators? And elevators are notorious for getting stuck, okay? Meaning they break down a lot and you can't get out of them. And it's a very small, tight place in an elevator. So because of my childhood trauma with my cousin, I became afraid of any tight, closed spaces, and elevators was one of those things. Then as I got a job as a security officer, my boss told me I had to check the elevators. I had to go in the elevator by myself, turn the key, and this was the freight elevators, okay? Freight ones, not the ones that the public use. These were the ones in the back, the freight elevators. And they were notorious for breaking down. And I told my boss, I can't do that, I'm sorry. And he said, what do you mean you can't do that? It's your job to do that. And I said, I'm sorry, I just can't do that. I have a phobia. I can't get in elevators. Now, especially alone. I have gotten in elevators with my husband, okay? But I will never get in an elevator alone. Yeah, I mean, even if there's other people. What I mean by alone is without my husband, okay? I don't mean... I also had a very bad experience to an elevator when I went for jury duty, when I had to get in an elevator alone because my husband couldn't be with me on jury duty. And a guy started harassing me. I was, I had to go take the elevator to the floor with where I had to go for jury duty. There was no stairs. They said I had to take the elevator. This was a long time ago too. Maybe I was in my, 20s. And a guy started, scaring me. He started, commenting on my face, and he started coming over to me, and I thought, my God, something's going to happen here. I was petrified out of my livid mind. Because it was a confined small space, and this guy was coming up to me and making comments on my face, and I was alone with him in the elevator. He could have pushed a button. I could have been raped. So another phobia that I have is the fear of heights. I didn't look that up. I don't know what you call that. How did I get that phobia? I don't know. I don't know how. I only know how I developed claustrophobia from my cousin. I don't know how I developed that phobia, but I'm sure it was something traumatic that happened to me. That's, I think, how. Otherwise, fear is learned. A child has to learn fear, okay? You're not going to be afraid of something that you have good experiences with, right? It's when something happens to us, then we learn it. We develop a fear of it. Fear is learned. A young child is not afraid. A young child will run in the middle of the street. A young child is not afraid of any, really young, because they have to learn fear. And so the older we get. So that's why I'm scared of, I will not take an elevator anyway, unless I did back then because I had it for jury duty. But I try to get out of jury duty now because I'm too afraid of a lot of things. I've developed fears over the years because I've been traumatized. First traumatized by my parents, and then traumatized by psychologists who sexually, verbally, and physically abused me. I have other videos about that. But this video is focusing on phobias because I think most people can relate to this because most people have phobias. And I'm talking about mine, and I'm talking about how one of them develops. Now, I also hate planes because think about it. Planes are very claustrophobic. You're in these, if you're in coach, you're scrunched up in these little seats with like sardines with all these strangers, and you're going way up in the sky. And I'm claustrophobic, number one, and I hate heights, number two. So I hate planes. And also I have motion sickness too. So when there's turbulence, I get hysterical. How many of you hate turbulence? Oh my God, I get hysterical. I'm clutching my husband's hand, like I'm clawing his hand. I'm squeezing his hand. It's like he can't even move. His hand is like paralyzed after, because I'm so frightened of it. Now, how do we get over our phobias? That's the thing. So with elevators, it really doesn't interfere with my life because I don't have a job where I need to take an elevator, okay? If there's some place I need to take an elevator, like when my son was in the hospital, my son was recently hospitalized because he had very low sodium. And he was in very bad condition. And he had to take an elevator to his room. There were no stairs. It was like on the 7th floor. But I went with my husband, see. So, and when I go on vacation, I try to get hotels that don't, I try to get lower rooms in the hotels. I don't go in high-rise hotels. If I have to take an elevator, then I'm with my husband, so that that takes a little of, not a lot of the stress, but some of the stress off, because I feel safe with my husband. I feel safe and protected when I'm with my husband. I would never take an elevator alone. But like a couple of years ago in 2022, I went to Paris. So I had to get on that plane, you know. And how did I get on that plane? First of all, I got economy plus seats, which are larger seats than just plain economy. It was economy plus, and so it wasn't as, like, you know, claustrophobic. It was still claustrophobic, but not as much as regular economy. And the trick I learned that can help you, that helps me, it might help you, is to close your eyes, you know. When I'm in an amusement park ride and it's going really, really fast or something, and it's frightening me, I close my eyes, because I have motion sickness too, and it helps if I can't see things spinning around. Like if you're on an amusement park ride, if I close my eyes, it feels less frightening, because then I can't, you know, I don't feel dizzy. Like if I keep my eyes open, I'll feel dizzy. Well, that whole flight, that 8-hour flight, or 7-hour flight to Paris, I closed my eyes the whole flight. I didn't sleep a wink. But what helped calm me was closing my eyes the whole flight. Going down, it was at nighttime too. Coming back, I didn't close my eyes. I just had some wine. Alcohol relaxes me. But yeah, by closing my eyes, it helps, you know, it helps with that. So some of our phobias we can avoid, like if we're afraid of heights, and we don't work in a high-rise building, we don't book hotels with, you know, the upper floors in hotels. You can get a motel, or you can get something that isn't high-rise, or you can take the stairs. There's lots of ways. I took the stairs too when I worked at an engineering firm. Had 14 floors. I hardly ever took the elevator. I took the stairs every morning. So that's how I avoided my fear of claustrophobia, by taking the stairs. I mean, there's ways to get around your phobias. Also, it's probably better to try to work through your phobias. The more I take planes, the better, or the more I went on elevators, you know. Everyone has some phobia, I think. Mostly everyone. I won't say everyone, but mostly everyone has some irrational fear of something, whether it's heights, or spiders, or snakes, or, you know, tight spaces. Let me know if you do. Let me know what your phobia is. If you have one, if you feel free to share with me. You don't have to. I don't want to pressure you, but feel free to share. And if you found a way to, you know, to work through the phobia, that would be even better to share that, you know. I still go on planes. I've been on planes, even though I hate planes, because that's two phobias in one, right? Claustrophobia and fear of heights, 2 in 1. So that's really, really, and if it has turbulence, I also have motion sickness too. So I never go on roller coasters. I never go to amusement parks. The only thing you'll see me going on is a merry-go-round with like the 3 and 4-year-old kids. Because I have motion sickness as well. So let me know, and let's talk about it. It's an interesting subject. I'd be interested in hearing from you about your phobias. You know, what do you do to cope with them, or have you gotten over any of them? Or let me know in the comments. All right, don't forget to subscribe so next time you'll get my video. Take care.